Trap it out.
Welcome to Otaku Shot, where it's nothing but liquor and anime. I'm Shane.
I'm Captain Morgan.
You're Scott. Cheers. God damn you. I messed up like the intro one time, and we've just been going with it since then. Mainly just you.
Yeah, wait. Just me?
Because I started out with the whole I'm Batman.
Oh,
Robin.
Okay, yeah.
And then we just did that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Do you get it now?
Yeah, because I've been saying, okay, I see.
I get it.
But this is Otaku Shot, for real.
This is Otaku Shot. Welcome again. For tonight's topic, as you don't know, because you don't know what our topic is.
They don't know. We haven't told them. Of course they don't know.
So we've been thinking a lot. At least I have been, because I'm the one who decided upon this topic, is fan service. So a question I had recently that I had to think about a little bit is, so with fan service, do you think it takes away from an anime with fan service, or do you think it brings more to the table? Is fan service distracting in some senses? So, to kick us off with this, I will say that I am very neutral on this subject. I think that there are animes where fan service is all the anime has going for it, and I think that there are anime where fan service does take away from the actual plot that I want to see.
Yeah, it's very much one of those things that it's a question of how it's done and where, like, what the demand for it actually is. Which, it's called fan service. You'd think inherently it's something that the fans would want, but, I guess it depends on which side of the debate you fall onto on whether or not it ruins the show or not.
Or not.
Shut up.
So with fan service,
I was gonna say or nah, so I tried to save it last minute, but it did not succeed.
It
Yeah, it was bad. We get it.
Anyway, so for fan service, so this is my great example of this is so right now we're watching two very fan servicey things in my opinion, which is Darling and the Franxx started out very fan servicey, and obviously Shokugeki is very fan servicey. But that's, I guess in your own terms, fan service is a very ambiguous topic.
Yeah.
Because I didn't actually really know what you would define as fan service for a really long time.
Yeah, I had to Google a definition just to try to get a grasp on what we were actually going to be talking about. Just to make sure I didn't only talk about anime titties.
Which, anime titties are a big part of fan service.
It's a big part of the fan service.
So let me give you a good example. You watch Konosuba.
Yes.
I think Konosuba in a way is very fan servicey. At least from what I've seen.
Yeah,
in the terms of the anime titty category.
Yeah, I'd agree, but also I still don't have a fair grasp. But
also that's just harem stuff in general, though. I feel.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
you don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. Where I have there are thoughts, but no words come out.
Okay.
So yeah.
I guess that. It doesn't make sense.
It's kind of a problem. It happens a lot to me.
Okay. On that note, take a drink.
I don't think that's a good idea at all, but you got it.
Tonight I'm just going to be making Scott take drinks every time he doesn't understand a single thing about fan service, which I don't also understand anything about fan service, really, which is why this is a great topic for us, because I love talking about things while I'm drunk that I don't understand.
Yeah, that's always so much fun. Just the confusion and I'm just gonna drink.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that.
I think that's a good idea. Anyway, on the topic of fan service, so with the topic, the reason why I'm also very neutral on it is because I feel like there are some shows that they come off in a way that is meant to be fan service, and without the fan service, the show would not be as good as it is, just because the show heavily relies on fan service. So, for those who watch Free, that's kind of where I'm going to start my little thing here. Free is very much a fan service show. It's that kind of like, the term is queer baiting, where they have characters who you want to be gay, but they're not actually stated canonly as being gay. So with Free, you have swimmers who do relays because there's nothing else to swimming apparently. So with Free, it's a sports anime essentially without the sport being very prominent. If that makes sense at all. And instead, they have these boys that are part of the swim team that are gay, but they're not stated as being gay. The fan service just implies you to want them to be gay. Which is where the fan service does come in, because the fan service is like, oh my god, you like this ship. Let's give you some more shit that'll get you to like that ship more.
Let's just raise your hopes only to make you question them further down the line.
I think ships are a very good example of fan service. Ships are obviously what people want. They want to see people in relationships with one another. So what the audience does is, what the people who make the show does is they'll see that, oh, this particular ship is really gaining a lot. Let's do some stuff that'll make these people like the show more because of this ship. Tokyo Ghoul is a very good explanation of this, in my opinion. You don't know really about this, but like...
No, I don't.
This was very controversial for a lot of people. It depends this is a different type of fan service, because there were some fans that really fucking hated the ship, and there were some fans that really loved the ship. That is the Token ship of Kaneki and Toka.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a spoiler here, so if you have not read Tokyo Ghoul or know anything about what's going on, I recommend you cut this out for the next 2 minutes.
You think it's only going to take 2 minutes for you to talk about anything that has to do with Tokyo Ghoul?
This part will take
Because I think it will take at least 10 minutes.
You're right on that, to be honest. Anyway, with Tokyo Ghoul, there was a very controversial chapter that came out around 125 of Tokyo Ghoul Re. The title of the chapter, goddamn, was literally called X. And if that tells you anything, it was sexual. And
X spelled just
the letter X, the letter X,
but not 3 X's.
No, just 1 X.
Okay, just the one.
Yes.
It'd be better if it was triple X.
Well, that would mean porn, but it wasn't exactly that porny. Well, it was pretty porny. Anyway,
fan service, dude.
Yeah, fan service.
Fan service, porn, same thing.
So anyway, everybody loves not everybody. A lot of people fucking hate it, but the ship of Toka and Kaneki. It was made very clear on the chapter of X that X, just to tell you, X was a straight sex chapter. There was not a lot of dialogue. I don't even think there was any dialogue. It was just
like when I have sex. No dialogue.
When do you have sex? Is the real question.
I'm just gonna drink more.
Drink more to drown your sorrows, buddy. Anyway, are you out of beer already? Do you need beer?
I haven't had sex in 2 years. What do you want from me?
Beer?
Yeah.
Need beer.
Wait.
So I'm
gonna get a beer.
Yeah, so
okay.
I just convinced Scott to get a beer. Anyway, while Scott is getting a beer, I'll go into this. Basically, what happened in the chapter is it's literally just a chapter just full of Kaneki and Toka having sex. It was the most, in my opinion, the most real chapter of Tokyo Ghoul that has ever happened. He literally did not know how to take off her bra. That just shows this virgin child trying to have sex.
Hey, just like me.
Well, yeah. Well, you're right. Well, that may be the truth. Anyway, that is one of my definitions of fan service. I feel like it was kind of put in there very fast, and a lot of the people who weren't really into that ship were kind of pissed off, but the people who really, really were interested in the ship were so happy about it. And I feel like that was a good fan service part.
But see, so my question lies in the fact that, like, you mentioned that a good portion of the fan base was not okay with that ship. So it's like, would that really be considered fan service, or is that just the direction the writer actually wanted to take the story in?
That is actually the direction he wanted to take it in, because
So does that then count as fan service?
In his opinion, yes. He said something about it being weird because he had to make an entire sex panel. He could have... See, here's the thing. This is why I consider it fan service, is because he could have implied the sex...
But then not actually
shown it.
Yeah, true enough.
Yes, so he showed the sex himself, and that was the fan servicey part. He didn't have to give that to me. He could have just implied that they had sex, and then showed it later.
I love that you said he didn't have to give that to me.
He didn't have to give it. He didn't have to give it to just me. It was just me he wanted. I'm the one fan of this, apparently.
You got a special chapter. Nobody else knows what you're talking about. It's a sex scene. What do you? What
was that just for me? Anyway, I think that's very much a point of fan service. Yuri on Ice was a big thing for fan service, in my opinion, just because Yuri on Ice was very gay, obviously, as we all know who were around for the gigantic uproar of Yuri on Ice back in 2016. There was never anything actually shown of them kissing, but at one point in time, it was like they kissed, and everybody was so happy about it. But it was never actually shown. This was just fan service, in my opinion. Also, I think a lot of filler episodes in anime are kind of considered fan service because obviously they're not canon. They're just kind of like oh my god, we want to see a beach episode of these characters.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we were talking about is, for the reason why I kind of thought about this topic a lot is because of Darling in the Franxx. Because for Darling in the Franxx, it very much started off as a show that I would consider fan service. Now, that is not so much the case. But for the first, I want to say, 7 episodes of Darling in the Franxx, it was very much fan service.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a drug dealer and they're like, hey, first time's free, but then you get hooked and you keep coming back, and then you got to pay, what's the price, what's the Crunchyroll subscription price?
I think it's $6.95.
So now you got to pay $6.95 to get that good fan service.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. So basically, let me describe this in terms that my audience, our audience, will understand.
I see how it is.
This is my audience. Anyway, I think that the audience will say that what happened was they were trying to draw you in Franxx by adding all these fan servicey bits and very sexual bits for all the young little boys who watch anime to get involved in. Later on, it developed into an actual story, which, in my opinion, was great. I don't really get why they needed the fan service to start a very good story.
Because why not? Why not sexualize teenage humans?
I read an article
piloting
recently.
Robots.
I mean, true. I mean, I read an article that was literally called "Sex Equals Mex," or "Mex Equals Sex."
Sex.
And that was the whole thing of sexualizing everybody in Darling in the Franxx. Obviously, 02 is a very sexualized person at this point. Like, the manga for Darling in the Franxx literally shows boobs of immediately.
Right away.
Just right off
Straight
the bat.
on. Dude, when you sent me a picture of that fucking manga, I was on a rooftop. I almost fell off laughing at that shit, dude. You almost killed me.
I love the subtleness of them just blocking out her vagina with a little bit of hair. Great.
Dude, I love how hair always conveniently covers nipples in anime. It makes you laugh
I love how hair just became the default way to cover stuff.
Right? It's pretty brilliant when you think about it. Because it's like, hey, we want to show characters naked, but they can't be naked. What do we do?
It's the whole free the nipple concept.
Right.
I found Japan does this thing where they'll make things pretty sexual, and they'll show a boob, But they won't draw the nipple.
No nipples allowed. Why?
Suddenly the nipple is what makes it sexual.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't know, in this society at this point, for anybody, for women, I mean, obviously, a nipple on women has become very sexual. Even though I don't really get why a boob is sexualized, considering that men can have boobs.
It's also like, it's fat under the skin. And
Yeah.
it's like a nipple's a nipple. Like, I've got one of those.
I'm looking at it right now, apparently.
You see it? It's
apparently, Scott took it upon himself to show me what his nipple looks like.
I mean, you've seen them before. It's not like a surprise.
I mean, you're very right about that. Anyway.
Speaking of, any fan service you guys want from us, just like hit up the Twitter.
Just hit it up.
Yeah.
We'll send you nipple pics. Apparently. If you really want it, we got it.
How would they know if it's even our nipple?
They wouldn't.
Know.
They wouldn't know at all.
So if you're willing to take the risk of getting a stranger,
he can't even say it. Anyway, I think that there's a lot of fan service also in ways that they will show. This is very broad, but for an example like Shokugeki, obviously people really ship the Erina Soma combo. I personally ship the Megami Soma combo.
obviously, that is the rational decision.
That is the rational decision. That is clearly the rational decision. I'm also fine with Erina and Soma at this point.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Like, if it happens, it happens, because it's probably going to happen. Anyway.
I mean, it's happening.
It was made from the start that was probably going to happen. Anyway, but they'll do certain things. Like, they actually did I watched a side-by-side panel of one of the recent Shokugeki episodes, and people really ship Takumi and Megami.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you can see on my Crunchyroll screen right there, they're right next to each other.
They sure are.
In the manga, there's actually a picture where it shows Megami and Soma right next to each other, but for the anime, they made Erina and Soma next to each other. And I feel like that is a fan servicey aspect to get people to be more enticed about this ship.
Yeah, that's a weird, like, subtle...
Isn't that weird to think about, though? Yeah. Like...
Very interesting.
Like, I also think about little fan servicey... fan servicey things and anime where they're just trying to get shit.
Ships?
No, that is not it. But like for Naruto, for instance, there was a lot of random. Obviously, there was a lot of filler in Naruto.
So much filler.
But I remember at one point in time there was a specific amount of filler for people who really liked the Naruto and Sakura combo. And there was a lot of filler of just them hanging out with each other. And there was also a lot of filler, like, now since, for spoilers, for those who don't know, Sasuke is married to Sakura.
Yeah.
And, like, recently they had a panel in one of the most recent Boruto episodes where Sasuke came home and, like, surprised his family.
Have you been watching that? Because I have not watched
I actually have been watching Boruto.
Huh.
Yes. It's bad.
I started to get the sensitive... Like, I started up with it, like, cool.
It's not...
Like, Boruto... I watched Boruto's dad.
I'm in it for Sasuke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it for Sasuke being the main, like, teacher to Boruto right now. And that's it. If Sasuke is not in it, like, I tune in, like...
I heard tune in and then skip through and look for Sasuke.
So like there was like an actual canon Sasuke Sakura arc with them coming back, and then after that there was a lot of different arcs, and then right now they're trying to lead up to where the Boruto movie started, which was during the Chunin exams. And during the Boruto movie, Sasuke becomes you
I know the role,
the teacher to Boruto, and right now
same
they're
as Naruto but different people.
Yes.
I get it.
But right now they're in that phase where Sasuke is like back and like actually teaching Boruto stuff. And like I watched it, I caught up with I caught up with it, damn it, specifically to see Sasuke. But that's it. Also, Sasuke is fan service just by being around. I don't know what you determine by fan service, but when I see Sasuke's face, I know that they get much more viewers.
This fan has been serviced when I see Sasuke. This fan has been serviced.
I remember in Naruto Shippuden, you didn't see Sasuke for like 115 episodes, and then you got like a solid arc of him. And I remember I skipped through so many Naruto Shippuden episodes that were filler just to finally get to the Sasuke part. And then when I saw him, every moment of time that he was on screen was taken in very, very considerably by me. Anyway, Sasuke is amazing. Give me more fan service of him.
How did this whole conversation come around to Sasuke?
So you like fan service? So if you just add Sasuke into everything you see, then that will complete every Sasuke fan. So are you watching Shokugeki no Sasuke? The story about Sasuke becoming the best chef at Totsuki? Or maybe Sasuke's Gate.
I lost oxygen for that whole...
So do you like...
No. I need to breathe.
So when you breathe, I'm going to give you more. Let me take a shot first. That deserves a shot.
Okay.
So Scott.
Yeah.
Do you like Sasuke's Gate?
I love Sasuke's Gate.
The story about Sasuke traveling through time to save Sakura. There you go. Or do you like Sasuke art online? The story of Sasuke, a person who conquered a video game as a swordsman.
So pretty much just what he did in Naruto. Just the same thing.
You know, essentially, now that I really think about it.
Accomplishing godlike feats.
So, do you like Sasuke and the Franxx?
Dude, I need Sasuke and the Franxx.
My Sasuke Academia.
Please, Academia on Sasuke.
Sasuke 5. A story about the Persona series involving only Sasuke.
You have one persona, it's Sasuke.
Anyway, back to fan service. Me and Scott are gonna kiss.
What?
That's your fan service. We're giving service to the fans, man. We just did kiss. I'm not gonna lie, that was real.
I'm usually not into guys with beards, but whatever.
I can't believe I just kissed you.
It's bound
Alcohol
to
does some wild stuff, guys.
It was bound to happen.
But hey, you get the fan service at this point. I don't think they give a shit. I don't think they understand shit about fan service.
We also could have just gone, we could have just made the noise.
No, I just kissed him. That was a kiss.
Listen. My point. I know it's real. You know it's real. My point here is that they'll never know. There's a falcon in your room.
There is a falcon in my room, now that I think about it. He's over in this corner.
They could believe that or not, but it's true.
Yeah, that is true.
So my point here is, believe what you want, but we just did some major fan service for y'all, so pay it forward.
Pay it forward. Listen to us more. Give us fan service. I'm a fan of you guys.
You're our fans, we're your fans.
You give me fan service by listening to my podcast. So there you go.
It's the best service you can really give.
It's the only service you guys could actually give to this podcast. I think Monogatari is very fan servicey. In the way that Araragi has to constantly be involved in some type of fling between girls.
I'm trying to make a joke about brushing teeth, but I just can't make the connection.
You're right.
But
that was a fan. That was a fan servicey part of it. there's a part where this is kind of fan service. Also, like fan service is a good way also just to show kind of slight nudity. There's a part where it was not needed at all in Monogatari, but there was a part where Karin comes home from a jog and is like in their kitchen and just like starts stripping down.
Yeah,
and like you get to see side boob and like her basically naked. And then you know what she comes home to? She comes home to Araraki showering with their other sister.
Of course, as you do, as is normal for all families.
I guess if you want incest type of fan service, I didn't realize till recently that that's like a big thing that people like.
Oh yeah,
in the
weird,
not
oh.
in.
Oh,
oh, it's so weird, man.
Who would want that? Oh no.
Fuck you. Anyway, but like, that's a pretty good example of fan service in my opinion. Is I feel like there's a lot of things that are in the show that are very unneeded that come across that you weren't expecting to see, but they did it anyway.
Yeah.
And like obviously like like you'll have a conversation with this girl. Like I think that Franxx was very fan servicey in the beginning because you're having a whole conversation with 02 in the beginning while she's fucking naked.
And then it's also the whole part about how the whole show is about sexualizing teenagers.
Well, yeah. Just like how there's a lot of shows sexualizing teenagers. Or like Kill la Kill is it about objectifying women.
Is that what it's about?
They literally turn into
I felt like the whole thing was about like self-confidence and having.
Well, I'll say that Kill la Kill was made to go against the idea of objectifying women.
Okay.
By also making them objectified.
Weird how that works, huh?
It was a parody kind of in a way, I would say. I mean, shit, like sex, like for sex equals Mex equals sex in the fucking Franxx universe, like you literally like I like how they've come more to light in this. We'll get into this later when we do anime book club, but like they had the fan service of these chicks are down in front of these guys like in a sexual, very very sexual way. You can see a gap of where their fucking vagina would be, like that's how it goes. But like
true enough,
that was the fan service of it, is that you had a dude in front of a girl
pretty much in doggy style.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like, I might as well say it.
I mean, that's entirely true. So, with this now, I want to say that I think fan service, in my opinion, depends. I think there are some shows that fan service is great, and there are some shows that fan service just kind of takes away from things. If I'm trying to get to the fucking plot, I don't want to see a bunch of fan service done that is unnecessary. I want to see the plot. I think that if I'm watching a show for the fun of it, and it doesn't really matter what's going on, I think the fan service is great.
Yeah, I'd agree with that conclusion very much.
And
I mean, that's how it goes.
That is how it goes. I like fan service sometimes. I don't like fan service other times.
Weird how that works.
Weird how you don't like the service that they're doing to you fans. Anyway, we're going to finally move on. We're about at our half-hour mark. But Anime Book Club.
What do you want to start with?
Darling in the Franxx.
Darling? Okay.
Considering that we've been talking about it a lot this time.
Yeah.
So, as you guys know, at this time, spoilers are very open. If you do not want to hear any of this, what we will be talking about in this order is Darling in the Franxx, Hero Academia, Persona 5, Sword Art Alternative Gun Gale, Steins Gate, Shokugeki no Soma.
So pretty much, we're going to talk about them in the order
of my Crunchyroll account. Okay. I even had to scroll my Crunchyroll account to say that.
Fair enough. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
So first,
I need the list open.
I also need the list open. Anyway, let me get a cough in.
Nice.
And a shot in.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good way to start off a podcast in half an hour in, I mean. Anyway.
So that baby, though.
So, we're going to go into a baby.
Okay. Well, you say it like that.
So, do you guys like babies? Because Darling in the Franxx does not like babies. Anyway, this Darling in the Franxx episode, I gotta say, so Scott is not, I would say, not as into Darling in the Franxx as I am.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I think that Darling in the Franxx is honestly one of my favorite shows that's going on this season.
I'm perfectly satisfied with it. I have no issues to speak of. I'm just not, like, super into it. I mean, I could take it or leave it, to be completely honest.
I think my main thing for Darling in the Franxx also is that I know pretty much what's happening in most animes I'm watching this season of what's going to happen in the future of it. I obviously read Hero Academia. I played Persona 5. I am playing the Steins Gate Zero game. So I don't have a ton of input about predictions.
Yeah.
Darling in the Franxx is the only real one that I can be like, oh shit, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Because there's no other source material outside of this, right?
Besides, there's a manga that's being progressed as the anime is going, so there's nothing further than what's out right now. And also, I don't even think that the manga is caught up with this. I think the manga was made after the show was made. Anyway, Darling in the Franxx, in my opinion, is very good. I did not like it in the beginning as much as I did it now, but like now where they are, holy fucking shit, I love everything they're doing with it. I love 02's progression, and like we haven't talked about this since it happened, but obviously 02 has gotten a ton of character development, being now that she is officially in love and officially out of the cycle of being hated by everybody that is in Squad 13. And I love that about her. I love how she's like even in this picture that we're seeing on Crunchyroll, like she had a place at one point in time where she talked to Kokoro and like made her feel better about it.
We're getting to see her be a normal girl, and not only that, but getting to see the squad accept her as something that's not like an outside force that's ruining their dynamic, but as one of their friends.
Yes.
Who just like is a girl and is normal.
Yeah. And I love that about them. And also I love that Hiro isn't a hero. I love that Ichigo isn't a bitch anymore. We had a whole period of hate last time. A lot of hate, because I remember the last episode.
I wanna make it clear. I've always taken the position of like she's being stupid, but I see where she's coming from. I've never hated Ichigo.
So here's the thing.
Really,
I fucking hated her. I hated her even after the like a lot of people did this thing where they saw that episode. So the last time we had our discussion was the episode where you follow the Prince and the King episode, where you get to see Hiro and
the Prince and the King. That's my favorite ship.
The
dude.
Prince and the King. The
Gotta get that incest in
like
there.
the Queen and the Prince, or whatever the fuck it's called. The Prince and the Queen.
I think there was a monster.
The Prince and
involved.
the Princess. The Prince and the Prince.
There was a monster involved, but also
Prince and the Monster.
Are we talking about? What are you talking about?
The fucking storybook.
Yeah, there was a monster, and then there was a prince.
The Monster and the Prince? Was that what it was called?
I don't know if that was the title, but those were the two characters involved.
Anyway, there was that book.
There's a goddamn book. That's all you need to know. There's a book and there's characters.
So you figure out that that 02 and Hiro met as children back when 02 was more of a monster-looking character. And we got to know that he is the original Darling. He is pretty much the love of her life from day one of her being accepted by fucking anybody. And then the next episode, Ichigo was like, hey, so remember that thing you guys were trying to do? So fuck you. You can't see him. That's my boyfriend. Hey, that's my boyfriend over there. You can't get involved with him. And then finally she was like, oh, okay, I get it. This man who has rejected me 100 million times doesn't love me.
He's not into me. Weird.
That's
weird. How this person who was involved with another girl and explicitly told me.
that he was involved
Like,
with another
yeah.
girl.
It's weird that he's not into me. That's strange.
And then was like, hey, so I love flying with you, Goro, but fuck you also. I love Hiro. Even though Goro is best boy from day one.
He's always been best boy. Are you kidding me?
There has never
He's
been a
been
doubt
best
in my
boy.
mind.
He's such a good boy.
He is the best boy ever.
I
Anyway.
want that boy. Give me that boy.
But then you got to see their progression so far in Franxx with them after their battle. Also, this is a very good topic. So the big hand has kind of played more of a role.
Hand though.
So that hand was human, and then they figured out later that the inside of the clicks or hearts that they've been killing had some type of fetus resembling thing within it. So that
It looked very much like a human being.
Yes, it definitely did. So I'm assuming that obviously from watching the Nines, knowing that they are part monster, that there are kids that are born somehow from the other breed, and that's kind of the thing I'm going off of.
It's interesting to note about them though. Like, I don't think we've talked about any of this. How like they have horns that appear when they're piloting the Franxx, but their horns aren't like
zero
twos that are real, but they're like almost holographic. And also how their piloting system is different with the guys.
Yeah, because the guys are the ones who are the stamen.
I'm all for pegging, but it's like I wish I had a better reason for it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make the joke.
I figured you wanted to make a pegging joke with that. Anyway, it was weird to me to see that whole dynamic of how the Nines worked in their final battle. I loved that moment with 02 and Hiro where they finally connected and were able to get past everything that had been put in front of them that entire time. So here's where we're gonna get to the shit. So
we haven't even entered the shit yet.
So the past 2 episodes you've been seeing like kind of like them being left out by
abandoned
Papa.
Pretty much.
Yeah, by Papa.
Is Ape the name the organization goes by?
I think so. I'm not really sure.
So they've pretty much been abandoned by like Ape or whatever organization is in charge of them.
So there's a lot of big things to cover with Franxx here. So I'm gonna say a couple things of this recent episode. Well, I'm gonna go into that soon here. So first we've had obviously the Mitsuru character development of him getting a haircut and becoming more attached to Kokoro.
Mm-hmm. Which we've seen being built up ever since she found that book. And we got that foreshadowing even when, like, whenever she was reading the book in that garden area, Mitsuru would appear randomly in the doorway and be like, what do you do? Like, we started to get that foreshadowing of them.
Eventually trying to become
exactly
the bearing of a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what happened this episode.
And it's interesting to note that, like, even though they had been abandoned throughout all that, like, the whole time, even with, like, Hiro and 02 becoming more involved, like, the Ape or whatever organization kind of rules over them, like, didn't really fuck with them.
Yeah,
really.
They don't.
They kind of just, like, let them be. But as soon as Kokoro and Mitsuru started canoodling, right? Like, they got all on that shit.
They did.
Like, they straight up, like, did a fucking raid.
Yeah,
on their
did.
Camp.
Like last episode, basically Kokoro, the previous episode prior to that, Kokoro and Mitsuru had sex and probably developed a baby.
Very possible.
Which is what they thought. And then this episode, they decided that, with that comes marriage, and they decided to tie the knot. The tying the knot didn't work so well. They ended up getting taken, had their memories wiped, and altered. Just like everybody in Franxx, apparently.
I find it strange that they would alter the memory of their pilots, but not the rest of the crew. Because it seems like it's obvious when they meet back up with them.
They're going to be like, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, hey, there's parts of your life you're not remembering. It's like they're obviously gonna tell him. Like, why wouldn't you the whole crew's memory?
And they made it very clear last episode that, oh shit, they're gonna... Also, this is all taken from the notion that, remember the one kid from the Nines came and was like, hey, Papa. So they've been talking about this book about pregnancy, basically, and having a baby. I assumed that they are not aware that Kokoro and Mitsuru actually had sex. I don't think that they're aware that there is an actual baby that is growing within Kokoro. And
that makes sense. It's like they do bring up the fact that they had been being watched, but it is unclear to us at this point how much of their activities have actually been supervised by like their governing body.
Yes. And so this is where I'm going to get into some shit that was during this last episode. So aside from the marriage and everything, so for those who have been kept up with Darling and the Franxx from the very beginning, first episode, if you remember, in the first episode, literally the first like 15-20 seconds of the series, they show a man walking beside a 02 later in the future that is surrounded by cherry blossoms, wearing a hat. And you saw how happy she was, and you assumed from that was the ending of the series, and that Hiro and 02, no matter what the consequences happen in the end, that 02 and Hiro would live. They just shattered that concept because in episode 18, they show the scene from the first episode, which implies that you don't know shit now. 02 and Hiro can now die between this episode and episode 24.
I also remember specifically remarking to you about how in that scene that they show, like, we went back and watched it a while back together, and I remember noting that the fact that 02 is wearing a hat, like, you can't see whether or not her horns were there.
Yeah.
And my speculation was that between the beginning of the show and where that flashback takes place is that she had become a human in that point, and they were trying to, like, cover it up with the hat being there, but we can see from where we are now that she's nowhere near accomplishing that goal. And in fact, we found out something strange about Hiro.
Oh yeah, he has horns.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing. So Hiro is now becoming a monster himself.
So that raises a bunch of questions as to what are they called? Calixirs?
Something like that.
Like, it raises questions as to how they come about and what it is that they're actually... so many questions.
So someone brought up a very, very good thing to me recently.
Oh, what is it? I want to know.
So for Darling has maintained this status of being very ambiguous with literally everything that they do. So you've gotten to know just about enough in the world to know that it's a fucked up world.
Yeah.
But you've also known so little about it. And everything that they've said is never concrete. So recently, like we talked about, what's a good example here? So the Nines are kind of a good example also because, you also didn't know shit about them prior to this.
Yeah.
You got to see that they had horns. They were also part of the monsters. And then suddenly they're also like really good with, I guess, the figure that you see all the time that is Papa. And like they're obviously ratting towards them, and Papa has his own goal in mind of what's going on and using the Nines. Oh yeah, a side note here, they showed the Calixer Princess.
Yeah, that's a thing they did. So it's like there's like a cognitive initiative behind the Calixers.
Yeah.
So like I just can't help but think that the fact that we've seen that the core of Calixers can be made of things resembling humans coiled into the fetus position I'm just saying words now. I'm gonna drink.
Okay. It's a weird thing. But once again, like, that we don't know exactly even what to talk about. It's hard to tell because we don't have anything to really say.
Exactly. Like, there's enough for us to make the connection that there's a human-shaped form inside Calixirs. There's a ruling force over the Calixirs. There's inferences that we can make, but we don't have enough information to actually make a prediction.
I'm still kind of on the God Eater notion that they're beings that were created by humans that have far surpassed humans at this point.
Yeah.
And have put humans into this apocalyptic society where they have to fight the thing that they created.
I'm definitely getting that vibe, but I just don't have anything concrete.
Once
to,
again,
really rooted in.
It's hard. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I mentioned earlier that like I'm not too into this show, but I'll definitely give credit where credit's due. Like, they do an excellent job of answering questions that either A, like, give you, like, answering questions that give you just enough information to help inform you about what's going on currently, or B, giving you answers to questions that you didn't even really know you had, but when they answer them, you're like, oh shit, so this means this, but then why is this, and then that, but why, and then...
So, we're going to go to one final debate to wrap this up on Darling. So, one of the main things that I wanted to talk about from the beginning is that, in my opinion, I think 2 people in Darling and the Franxx are going to die.
Yes. I'm
so,
very intrigued.
Do you have any idea who these 2 characters are?
Nope.
So, I'll just say one of them at first. Miku.
Okay.
I think Miku is going to die. And Goro.
Oh, but best boy.
So recently, in the past few episodes, this has been very subtle, and I love the way Darling has done it. So, one episode, I think it was a couple episodes prior to this, but they were bathing in a spring. This is after all the shit went down with 02. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, they're lathering Mikasa. They're lathering Miku's head with soap, and they look inside. They're like peeking inside of her hair and realize that she has a fuck ton of gray hair.
Fuck, I remember that.
And then recently, they said Goro has a fever. They also said Miku has a fever. Those are the only 2 people with a fever. They have not said anything about Goro having gray hair, but Miku is definitely the candidate. She has gray hair and she has a fever. Goro is best boy and has a fever. Best boys die. Best boys fucking die and ruin your shit. Anyway, I think that in the next couple of episodes we are going to start seeing bodies drop.
And I think kind of like tangentially related. I hope I said that right. We've seen how one of the adults in charge of supervising them, I forget her name actually, but like
Nana.
Yeah, we've seen that she was once a Franxx pilot, and in addition to the man that's serving with her.
Yep.
So it brings up the question as to what happens with these children as they grow up, and why is it that only they can pilot Franxx at their age? And like, these are all questions we've had since the beginning.
And all the kids have this idea that they won't grow up.
Mm-hmm. So we're really starting to get into the meat of these questions as to what happens to them as they age. Why do they need to be conditioned in a certain sense? Like, why is there this weird separation between the adults and the children in this world?
Yeah, they always tell them, they always think that they're like in the garden. Like, they talked about that last time, is that they almost feel like they're back in the garden all the time, which is where they essentially made the kids have a childhood in this small enclosed space guarded by the adults and all their information. And like, I just feel as though Darling is leading to this point where they're finally growing up and realizing that their society is very fucked up. They started out thinking that their society was amazing, and now they're realizing that it's not all it was. Oh, shit, we didn't talk about this at all. Lesbian Ikuno.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I have to say, I was shocked at first, but I can't say that I am...
Super surprised?
Yes.
Same here.
Took the words out of my mouth.
See, and this is where I kind of really liked Ichigo again, is because she was like, I'll help you deal with the situation, basically, that I just had. And I was like, good for you. Maybe you'll become a lesbian.
I hope so.
And she's like, why can't men... And she was talking about how, like, why can't women pilot Franxx with other women?
I also think it's interesting, they brought that up in the last episode, too, about how, like, genders are stupid. Like we only tolerate them because of the Franxx system.
So, this is a good point. So, we're going really into Franxx for about 20 minutes now. But, so, that just shows how much there is to talk about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a show that deserves this much discussion.
I would say so. But, with the idea of fan service. So, Franxx started off as a very fan servicey anime where we were like, oh my god, men on the top of this Franxx riding doggy style with these girls. And then now they've made it apparent that even the girls and the guys think it's fucking weird what they do. And like Ikuno brought up a good point, was like, why can't I pilot with you? Because you're a girl. And then that makes her confused because she's like, why am I in love with you even though you're a girl?
Did they not also have like a whole thing? Didn't they have an episode where they switched partners and two of the partners that switched were a female piloting with another female? Didn't that happen?
No. The only two people that switched in the switched part was Kokoro and Mitsuru became partners. Ikuno and the fatter guy became partners.
Okay. I thought I remembered two of the girls piloting together.
But no cross genders. Once again. And like I like that they're kind of referencing their society as being kind of this very weird gender like dominant society. And
interesting again to note in that whole facet how like with the nines the piloting system is reversed, where the females are the pilots and the males are all the stamens.
Yeah, and I just feel
pistols.
I just feel like that's like a thing due to the fact that they're half clicks or something like that.
But then why is like the show has done a very good job of raising questions as to how the piloting system works and who can be a stamen versus a pistol.
Okay, my final thing I'm going to say here before we move on. I think that Franxx piloting, or riding at least, any part of riding into Franxx in that matter, is killing these kids.
Oh, for sure. Why else do you use kids?
Because you don't want to die. That's for sure.
Right?
Anyway, we're going to move on to...
the bathroom.
Not the bathroom, but My Hero Academia.
It's happening.
Scott's going to the bathroom, but we're moving on to My Hero Academia.
Talk about your Dobby theory.
So that's a great idea. So obviously Hero Academia has been amazing, just like always. You've got to see Midoriya grow as a person throughout this whole arc of them doing the training facility in the woods. You've got to see a lot of development on the villains so far, and who is going to be a main villain who was just there along the ride, like Mustard, who was immediately taken out. But you also got to see a lot of especially good character development on Dobby and Toga, and that there are going to be very, very good along the ride characters for a long time in Hero Academia. And I love that so much. So, with these previous episodes, you've got to see how crazy Toga is, how much of a badass Dobby is, and now you've got to see what possibly could happen with Bakugo. Bakugo recently in this past episodes was taken by the villains, and now you don't know what's going to happen to him. But I'll say this. So there's been a lot of, especially with Dabi and Toga, there's been a lot of not really character development, but just like insight of who they are as people. Specifically with Dabi. Dabi kind of explained his ideals and what he thought of as the heroes in general, and how he basically wants to dismantle them. And I really like this part specifically. There was a very, very good little tidbit in this last episode where you saw that they had captured Bakugo, and you saw that as he was leaving, Todoroki goes up and tries to stop Dabi, and all Dabi says is, "You're too slow, Todoroki Shoto." And they have this great panel of Todoroki looking up to him in defeat, and Dabi looking menacingly as he enters away. I have a gigantic theory upon you that I'm sure a lot of fucking people have had so far, which I've actually talked to a lot of people about. I believe that Todoroki is related by blood to Dabi. I think that Dabi is a brother and a child of Endeavor in some way. And obviously he's a flame person. He is a flame. Dabi seemed to be very intrigued by seeing Todoroki fail. And I feel like Dabi, just from that one look, knew a lot more about Todoroki than they thought they did. And besides all this talk about this, great character development from everybody else in Hero Academia also. Especially, obviously Midoriya. Midoriya is the main character. He should get the most character development. But he beat Bakugo's father.
Yeah, dude, Bakugo's dad.
But he beat the strong Bakugo man. And I love that.
Bakugo's dad.
I
what
think
a muscular boy. It's also like, so he got straight up like arrested, yeah?
Yeah.
Man, I thought he was gonna be like
a big thing.
Yeah, because in like I feel like they show him in the OP firsting off against Deku, and it's like when they first show Midoriya like going up against him, it's portrayed more as like, oh shit, this guy can equal All Might's power just with like his own quirk and with his muscle. But the fact that he gets straight up arrested, like, obviously it was a challenge for Deku to overcome and to face, and he straight up broke his fucking body trying to beat him. But I feel like in the opening, it plays it up more as like a genuine rivalry between the two. So the fact that he was arrested after the first portion of this arc is like a little strange to me, but it's also like, I mean, fucking Midoriya beat him fair and square.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, almost less than fair and square, considering that he had to defend a small child.
I mean, you're right. I don't have a ton to say about Hero Academia. Obviously, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
For Hero Academia, it's mainly just like, it's cool to get character development of the class of UA.
What's it like seeing, like, you've obviously read ahead past this whole chapter, but like, is it satisfying to see everything animated and like see it all play out? Is it exactly what you thought it'd be?
Fuck yeah. Also, I don't know the company that does Hero Academia, but they are so good at keeping accuracy. Everything I've seen so far has been very manga accurate.
Nice.
Also, but for Hero Academia, it's like, I mean, it's a shonen. Obviously, you're watching Midoriya rise to the top.
Yeah.
And I like right now because they're trying to make it a little more complicated now with Bakugo being kidnapped. Obviously, last episode was kind of sad for Midoriya because he realizes that they lost.
Yeah. And
people have been hurt. One of them is missing. And that's what brings the question now of the last episode where, hey, so we're going to get that transmitter and look for Bakugo ourselves.
Which I think brings up an interesting... Shut up. An interesting question in the world of, like... In their whole world, which is... the fact that like they're students still. They're not supposed to use their quirks for what they consider to be justice.
Justice.
Shut up.
Here.
Justice. So, like, I think it's an I'm fucking trashed. It's an interesting question that they have raised as to, do we sit by and let the pro heroes take care of this, or do we go to where we know our friend is and try to solve this ourselves? Like, what is the right option? It's raising questions as to both of these. Like, I feel like the fact that they're making it a question of, like, not just what is the right action, but they're bringing into it, like, the legality of their world as to the fact that they're not supposed to use their quirks, and the whole thing that there are actual pro heroes that could help. Like, I think it brings kind of a new level to the question of their morality and whether or not they should actually step in. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. You're actually pretty spot on with that.
That's good, considering how
drunk you are.
I was going to say how long it took me to say that, but
you're also very drunk.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't want to go into too much detail about everything else. We're going to move on. Basically, Hero Academia is great. I think they're moving towards a very, very good part. I'll have a lot more to say once this arc is progressing more. Because I'll just say that the arc that is coming is my favorite arc in the entire series. Anyway, moving on. Persona 5. I don't have like a ton to say about it. I love it. It's great. It's great. It's fan service once again.
Yeah.
To those who have played the game. Which is another
reason why we wanted to cover the topic. I mean, the whole show is pretty much like, hey, you played the game? Look at this shit.
Pretty much. I mean, I think they've done a great job of showing things that I wanted to see in a way. And, like, they've shown... Like, they do it in a kind of a montage fashion, where they'll show stuff from the game that you would have done for hours, but in a small couple minutes. And I like that they do show that.
Look how easy this could have been if you were just as charismatic as your main character.
I would never be as charismatic as them. Not till I played New Game Plus, where I had full charisma.
I'll say, as somebody who has not played Persona 5, the last couple things we've seen are very intriguing. I mean, I've heard a lot about it from Shane, but I'm certainly invested in it as a show by itself. I think that's pretty much the only perspective that I can really give, but it's also like, I know who's going to join the team and who's not.
Yeah.
You know, like spoilers, but
people have said...
I mean, it's fine. It's pretty typical anime for me. I think I'd be a lot more involved if I had actually played the series, but it's fine.
I get it. A lot of people have said recently that they think that if you didn't play the game at all, Persona 5 animes are just confusing as fuck. Which I'll say, kind of, in a way that I think they're kind of confusing.
I mean, I guess it's hard for me to say because I kind of like I ride that line.
You watched me play a lot.
Yeah, because I've watched you play it. I've heard you talk about it, so I know things about the game. But at the same time, I myself have never played it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in this weird in between of understanding references and like, dare I say, fan service versus knowing absolutely nothing about what's going on.
You're right. And I think Persona 5 is a great just anime to have fun in also.
I mean, I've gotten my fair share of laughs just in the scene where fucking, I don't even remember her name.
On?
Anne. Yeah.
Yeah,
On.
With
She's
her clothes.
taking off all those clothes.
Yeah!
But it's also like, with the amount of clothes it shows her take off, she shouldn't have nearly been that big. Anyway, it was a fun scene. It was very funny.
Although Yusuke didn't care about her weight. He was like, oh, have you always been that size? No! Oh, whatever. I guess take off your clothes then.
What a gentleman. What
a fucking weirdo. I can't wait for you guys to meet all of these fucking weird Persona characters, and I can't wait for them to introduce more weird shit that did happen in the game, if they do even show it. Anyway, moving on. So now we're going to SAO Alternative Gun Gale.
I low-key love this show.
So Scott low-key loves this show. I did at first. I still kind of like it. I'm waiting to see where it goes, though. There's just a lot of stuff about it that just kind of pisses me off, especially with the whole, like there are stakes still, even when there's not, even though it's like the only stake is, like, there's an emo boy with his, I guess, emo-esque friend girl who is also in it, and they're like, oh my god, if we don't win this game, she's gonna kill me and kill herself. Okay. And the main character's like, alright, well, that's great and all, but hey, I'm not involved in this really, and didn't ask for this.
Okay. Can I talk about my thing with this show?
Okay.
So
lollies?
No, it has okay, it has little to do with lollies.
I'm looking at picture right now for the screen. Okay. Do you not see all those little girls?
Yeah, I see the lollies. I see them. My whole thing with this show is when it first started coming out, like, initially I watched it due to the fact of, like, oh, it's a Sword Art alternative, like, whatever, I'll watch it just for the sake of watching it. But over time, like, I actually really like the character of Len, and the fact that she has legitimate weaknesses as a character, both in her Gun Gale Online persona and also in her real life, and those two problems that she faces are different. Like, in Gun Gale Online, she faces a problem of she has a small stature, she's, like, relatively weak and not experienced in the world that she's interacting with. But as an alternative in her real life, she's, like, large to the people around her and has her own insecurities in that world. So it's like she has two different personalities, each of which have their own weaknesses and strengths, and seeing her interchange between both worlds and using her strengths and weaknesses in both worlds, like, is a really cool way to develop a character. But I will say, in the most recent episode, I've become very disappointed in the need of Sword Art Online to have, like, a death game going on where somebody's actual life or, like, real world consequences are at stake. I think it would be enough to just have her, like, challenging herself as Len in the world of Gun Gale Online. But I want to see where they take it, because I'm very intrigued with the concept of a character who is not completely OP in an online world because, like, she's a gamer. Like, she's totally inexperienced and is still trying to learn the rules, or not the rules, like, she's still trying to learn how to be good, kind of, at the game she's playing. And, like, it's a really cool dynamic to explore a character that is the same person but has different weaknesses depending on which reality she's living in. Like, that's a really cool way to explore character, I think. And I think they could take it in a lot of cool directions, but I'm worried that they're going to completely botch it and just, like, go in the route of, like, oh, it's a death game, someone's gonna die, if you don't win, you better win, ha! Like, that's fucking lame as shit. They have so much room to actually explore the character, and I really hope they go through with it.
Okay.
Also, Len's fucking cute as hell.
I'll say that Sword Art, in our topic of fan service, is a fan service anime. I feel like Gun Gale is a fan service anime. It's just for people who like the Sword Art series to watch more of it. And whether that be Kirito, whether that be Kirito literally shooting shit into a bag and saying, hey, this is a death game. Whoever can survive this poop wins. Literally anything fucking goes in Sword Art. That's how Sword Art is. It's shit. It's shit that I knew was gonna be shit. And, like, I didn't even like the Gun Gale anime when they did it with Kirito. I wasn't expecting to really like it that much as Gun Gale standalone. So the fact that I like this at all to watch more than 2 episodes is just great for me. So that shows my opinion on Gun Gale. I really liked it at first. I don't like the whole death game concept in this. I was hoping it was just going to be I was hoping that it was just going to be like a Sword Art kind of slice of life anime.
Yeah, I was really hoping at first that it would really just focus on Len and her trying to understand herself and be more comfortable with herself in the real life based on her experiences in the the VR reality. But I mean, if they have to have the death game, I just hope they don't make it a huge part of the series. Like, I really still want them to explore the challenges of this real life person who escapes their everyday by playing the game. Like, I really just want them to explore that and to try to change these two characters who are the same person. Like, I really want them to try to show how those two personalities interact with each other despite being the same person. Like, that's really where the exploration of this series should lie, in my opinion. And if they go too much into this, like, if they go into too much depth about, like, the whole death game, it'll just be Sword Art all over again. And I don't want that. Like, they have a lot of potential, but they need to take it in the right place, in my opinion.
I get that. Right on. Right on. Good for you, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, it's weird how, like, I know things and, like,
I just think it's funny because, like, this is the one anime out of all the series that you're more passionately into than I am. Like, I could take the alternative Gun Gale, like, whatever, sure, I'll watch it. It's not like I'm watching it for I'm looking for very much a lot of detail that I can talk about in this. No, like, it's shit. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's fine. I'll watch it. If you like Sword Art and you like trash, go watch the alternative Gun Gale. If you like lollies, go watch the alternative Gun Gale.
I will.
If you like fan service, alternative Gun Gale.
Okay.
Moving on.
We've
got about 10 minutes per explanation we're going to talk about. So Steins Gate is what we're moving on to next. So for Steins Gate 0, I will say that I've had a very good time with Steins Gate 0 so far. Especially with how they've introduced new characters. I love most of the new characters that have been introduced. I like everything that they're doing with Amadeus and the AI experiments going on. This most recent episode, we got to see kind of an Okabe having a lot of problems with it, and finally now we're having some issues that are very parallel to the original Steins Gate series. Mainly with the ending of them coming in with guns against them, even though they've done nothing wrong right now. In my opinion, with this most recent episode, I think the ending has to do more with the tiny scientist Maho, I think. I don't remember her name. Mm-hmm. Like Miyahojo or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The legal lolly.
Yeah, the legal lolly. I love her so much. She's great. Even though I love Makise and Okabe, I still, for some reason in this timeline, kind of ship him with Okabe.
Best, like,
her with Okabe.
Like, best real girl.
Yeah, best real girl at the moment.
As opposed to best AI girl.
Best AI dead girl right now. So that's a thing.
So, I have a thing.
What is your thing? Besides clapping really hard and disturbing our audience.
I feel like that's a thing, right?
I wouldn't do it again, but all right.
Okay.
Continue.
But, so, my kind of, like, I guess you could call it a theory, is we know that they're looking for that girl who is supposed to be Mighty's daughter.
Which they found.
Yeah. So, we know that there's another group looking for her. Mm-hmm. So, after Okabe reported to that one girl whose name I forget that killed Mighty in the original timeline.
Mayaka?
Yeah. He told her that they had located the person they were looking for. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then later that night, they all got, like, straight up assaulted. Mm-hmm. So
It's safe to assume that she's involved?
yeah. So my thing here is pretty much it's the same thing as the original timeline in which CERN has gotten involved with these activities, but not through the fact that Okabe and his original laboratory crew actually discovered it, like what took place in the original Steins Gate, but it's that CERN as a collective had known about time travel, known about Suzuha and whatever the fuck her name is. I don't fucking remember. The girl that looks like Maxe.
Oh, I forget her name as well. I think they were calling her, like, Kaguri?
Yeah. So...
Or Kagura? I forgot what it is.
So they enlisted the help of people who, in the previous timeline, were employees of CERN to help them find her. Now that she's located, and Okabe told them that they had found her, it just so happens that people come into the into the lab with guns, just like in the original Steins Gate. Like, my point here being that CERN was the other party looking for her, and that upon Okabe reporting that they had found her, the employees working for CERN, being their landlord and whatever the fuck that other girl's name was, then broke into the apartment just like the original Steins Gate.
So you're missing on a huge fact here.
Oh, what is it?
That the shop owner who's originally involved with CERN is not at all involved in this. You're forgetting that his daughter, who he loves so much, is left in the room with them with gunmen. He would never do that.
That's true. I did forget about that.
So remember, if you remember...
Fuck, I love you. God damn.
If you remember, FP in the original series was Mayuka's like owner, essentially. Kind of like she was like a dog on a leash. So in the original series, Mayuka only was sent there because of him and taking orders from him. In this version, you even saw they made it very clearly throughout the episode that he trusted them to have his daughter with her, that nothing was going on. He was just going to go on an errand. You saw the creepy man that was lurking around the shop that he noticed, and I assumed that he knew what was going on and tried to stop them, or at least understand what was going on. Now, next episode is where we'll get to see what pops up, if he does, or if he knows anything. But personally, I think that this is a different party involved that is not CERN.
Fuck, you blew my theory out of the water. God damn.
Also, so here's the thing. I've been playing the game for Steins Gate Zero. I am not nearly even as caught up as to even episode 3 or 4 of the series. That just shows how long it is. The series is so fucking long when you're playing in a visual novel form. Visual novels are always long. I've been playing for 5 hours and I'm not even near episode 3 or 4. That's how good it is. I mean, I like it so far. I think that they've done a lot of things kind of out of order in my opinion, at least in dialogue wise. It flows a little bit better in the game, but anyway, that's how a game goes. I'm waiting to see how they do it. They're going pretty fast in my opinion, but that's because in the game there's a lot of dialogue that is left out that they did not include in the series. But either way, I think Steins Gate Zero is going to be a very promising anime, and I have a theory that the Kaguri, or whatever her name is, who is the Makise doppelganger inside of the thing, she is in the series Mayuri's kind of adoptive daughter. I believe she is Okabe and Makise's child.
I mean, it makes sense. She looks exactly like Makise.
But I don't know shit yet, but that's just my theory. Anyway, moving on to Shokugeki for the last few minutes we have.
Shokugeki. So, lots of people just got expelled.
Yes.
And I will say, it happened very quickly, but I think that also the perspective that in that moment we were supposed to be viewing it from was Edina and Soma. And that's how that shit would have happened to them. Is that they would have just heard like, hey, this person, they all got expelled. It's like we got the same experience as Edina and Soma as just randomly hearing like,
oh shit,
all these people are just gone. Yeah. Like you're not gonna see them again. This is all you get.
I get that.
Essentially. Like I think that was an interesting way to completely like envelop the audience in the same isolation that those characters would have felt at that moment of just like, oh, these people are just gone and we just get to hear about it. Like we can't be there to see their final battle. We can't see the fight they put up. Like we just know they're gone now. I think that was a very interesting way of putting the audience in the shoes of the main character.
That's a really good way to think about it. Yeah, I really like that. It was very startling either way. In the manga, it was like done in like a few panels that you get to see everybody expelled.
I will also say, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it's okay.
I will also say that I think that it is a very way to show that this world is real. To show that just because you like these characters doesn't mean they can go up against the Totsuki 10. Like the people who have shown in this whole school that they are the best cooks. Like it's obvious that they weren't going to win. Like you want to believe that they can and find some way to overcome the way that Soma always finds his way to do. But like there's just not that. They just can't compete with the sheer cooking prowess of this elite group.
I really liked how they also showed when they were failing, as they were like warriors.
They showed them as
their warrior
like,
self.
Personas.
Like Kotokiba was like fucking shit. Like I just lost, and you could see his sword break, and just like I love that. I'm very excited to see what is to come. I already know obviously what is going to happen, but I'm very happy. Also, I'll say that Shokugeki is going fast. Shokugeki is going to be caught up with the manga very soon, and that scares me also just because I know that after this, there's going to be a lot less Shokugeki for a really long time. But also, I'm excited to see it all animated. I don't have a ton to say about Shokugeki. I'm very excited for the team battles. I really liked how they introduced Soma's father back into the mix. There's been a lot of, obviously, going, like we talked about fan service. Well, there's been a lot more stuff going on with Edina and Soma lately. Edina has obviously had the most character development ever in so long. God damn, she like literally cares about everybody now. Like, you got to see her tear up in this past episode because of everybody failing. And
I think, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Again, I think it's an interesting way to do character development in which in the last, like, kind of season, in the last few episodes, we've seen her warm up to the other characters. We've seen her eventually learn to appreciate the fact that they fought for her, and for her to stay at the Polar Star dormitory. Yeah, you get it. Like, they all fought for her to stay there, essentially, and protect her, and that really, like, brought out in her the will to teach them and show them everything they learned, and now we see the payoff of that, of how she is like actually sad to see those people leave, and you can see the devastation in her. Like you can see that relationship has really grown. So this is character development that, although like in its current state is recent, we're seeing her reaction to people who she has cared about leave, and we're seeing her reaction to that. But it's been building since a few seasons ago, from when she first started tutoring them and from when they first defended her. So we're actually seeing a very long term in terms of like anime. Like we're seeing that relationship grow and blossom and then be cut short almost. And I think it's very interesting the way that it's like stretched out in such a way, or not interesting per se. I mean, that's just character development. That's how it works.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's a good example. It's a very good thing to point to see like you can. That's what I'm trying to say here. It is a good example of seeing the development of a character, of being like, this is like something that I'm starting to like want to protect and to see through to through see to fruition. I don't know. She's trying to see these people succeed because they helped her, so now she's trying to help them succeed, and then seeing that failure and seeing her reaction to it shows us genuine development of a character. There we go.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck, I know. It took a long time. I apologize. I'm a drunk boy.
In the end, we get character development for...
Character development is character development. Did you know that? Character development makes a character develop?
I think I may have known that.
Because I think that's just everything that I just said, is that character development develops characters, and then those characters develop.
Also, what a funny way that they... God damn you. What a funny thing that they made Hayama into an enemy for like 2 episodes.
Even like, you know he's not a bad guy.
And then you realize, oh shit, he's just a good guy. But they made him seem so villainous in the beginning.
I really like his wardrobe as a villain, though. Like,
his long
whole,
hair,
aviator cap,
his hood, yeah,
coat, and like his long hair. I want that look.
I liked the.
I just want to be a handsome boy with a big coat.
I like the lolly judges.
God, the lolly judges. Are you fucking kidding? Talk about fan service. Talk about fucking lollies.
That is true. Anyway, Shokugeki, I'm very excited to see what's to come.
Is that all the shows? Like, I'm fucking plastered. I gotta get home.
You're right. That might happen. Anyway, that pretty much concludes this. Shokugeki is amazing. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I am excited to see whether or not they catch up with the manga this season or not, because it looks like they're going to do that. I forgot how long the actual process of it is. I don't know if they will. I think they might get to like a point close to it and then have another season soon.
If Shokugeki catches up, do you think they'll keep producing the anime but do like kind of the thing they did with Bleach, where they do like
their own thing?
Yeah, like an arc that wasn't part of the anime, but then
it would feel out of place if they did that. Huh. I also feel like they have gotten to a very good point in the manga where they are getting... Actually, in the manga, I feel right now, with what I've gathered from reading it, is that they're coming closer to a final arc. I think that Shokugeki will end soon.
Okay.
Anyway, if you guys have any questions or anything to send us, remember to send anything to us at otakushotglass@gmail.com, at my Tumblr, at nijimosmakoto at tumblr.com. Leave any comments you have on our YouTube.
We have a Twitter, I think.
We have a Twitter that I have not kept up.
I was supposed to manage it, but I'm bad at social media, so...
It's fine. I've been using it to watch Overwatch stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, he gets it.
Anyway...
this guy fucking gets it. Like, on top of everything, like, Shane fucking gets it.
Well, Scott's drunk, and really likes to keep me happy while he's drunk. Anyway... it is almost 1:30 in the morning here. I think it is time to get off, and if you guys have any questions, please, we'd love to hear your questions that we can answer for you. Feedback on anything you would like us to do. But that is all. That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.